Alright, so a few months ago I made a video all about how even in these scary AI apocalypse times, I still think that graphic design is a good career to go into, and I would still recommend it to someone just starting out. And in the midst of a lot of people agreeing with me or being grateful for my thought on it, I have gotten some comments from people saying that not just design, but all creative fields are completely dead, and that all clients only want AI slop and no one's willing to pay a human to do anything anymore, and that I'm actually being completely irresponsible by advising someone to go into any creative path. Woof! It's okay for you to feel whatever you need to feel right now. I get it. But let me just say, I have some thoughts. So today I thought we could just hang out in the studio and have a chat about the state of the union of the creative landscape right now. Because look, I get it. Things are scary and weird and constantly morphing, and everything feels really fragile. And if you read any sort of news outlet, it's kind of terrifying. And I'm not pretending to have all of the answers. I feel like everyone is kind of shaking the magic 8-ball right now, hoping that they can divine their way towards what the future is going to look like. But that does not mean that there aren't some things that remain true. And that's what I want to talk about. If you clicked on this video, chances are good that you are also feeling shaky and nervous about trying to make a living doing whatever creative thing you love to do. If this is resonating with you even a little bit, this one's for you. Let's talk about it. If we're just meeting, I'm Janelle. I've been a freelance graphic designer for about 15 years now, and this is my space to talk about design and freelance life and how to have a creative life and career without losing your soul. If that sounds like your jam, I would love to be friends. Click subscribe and we can hang out again. Okay, right off the jump, I just want to say that I am not trying to minimize the scariness of where we're at as a creative industry right now. I don't have all of the answers, just like anyone else. In fact, over the next couple of months, I'm going to be overhauling my portfolio and my Instagram and all kinds of stuff and kind of figuring out what I want that to look like in this weird landscape. So I'm not trying to say that I'm some sort of guru that has this figured. Secondly, I'm also not staunchly anti-AI. I actually love using Claude on a regular basis. I like using it to organize some pieces of my business, and I use it for all of my YouTube videos to help organize my thoughts and come up with all of the post-production stuff. So it's kind of a great irony that I am making this video while I'm probably going to be using AI to help through that process. And I think that's kind of the point. In this very shifting landscape, there has to be nuance. And every person is going to need to find a workflow that makes sense to them, lines that they feel comfortable with, and an understanding of how this is going to fit into their life and business. And it's probably going to be different for different people. And that's going to have to be okay, at least for now. And honestly, despite the title of this video, I'm a lot more interested in thinking about the truth beyond the tech of what is needed to work in a creative industry that is changing versus debating the fine points of what level of generative AI is okay and what isn't. That's not really the point. So if you're looking for an extreme take on either end, you're not going to find it here. I hope that works for you, but if not, I understand. The only reason I'm making this video now is because I can't let the thought go. For months, I've kept coming back to this question. Is design actually dead? Are these people right? Am I just so stubbornly down this road that I'm deluding myself and I actually need to take a hard pivot and become an accountant or something? I genuinely wanted to let myself sit with that terrifying question for a good long time. And months later, here is where I landed. No. I truly do not think so. And I have three main thoughts as to why. Firstly, tools change. Principles do not. Okay, now it's story time. Okay, go back in time with me. I am a baby-faced 19-year-old sophomore at Pratt Institute in Brooklyn, and I am starting the communication design program for the first time. I get into the doors, I go in, sit down for my very first class in the design program, which is Typography 101. Could not have been more excited. I love type. It's why I wanted to go to art school. I was very excited. So I sit my little self down, and in walks the professor, who is a very gruff, very grizzled, very old school Madison Avenue advertising man, straight from the 1950s Don Draper Mad Men era, right? And he's the real article. 3-piece suit. He's carrying a cane with a silver bird head on it. He is the full picture. And instead of launching into an overview or some sort of grand speech about the beauty of design, he pops up the projector and turns on a documentary. It documented the last day of the manual typesetting machines in the New York Times as they were being deactivated and wheeled out to, I suppose, the dump, and all of the computers were being brought in for the new age of digital printing. It showcased the hundreds of employees in that department, mostly men, who had spent years learning the craft and art form of manually setting type using lead letters to make a newspaper. It was meant to be a snapshot of this really fleeting moment in time as technology was completely wiping out a very storied industry and replacing it with an entirely new skill set. A lot of those people were learning the programs and were going to keep working there with a completely new set of job requirements, but a lot of them were retiring or leaving or figuring out what was next. The individual stories varied, but there was this palpable sense of excitement and fear and bewilderment as you watched this very fleeting moment of a giant technological change happening across an entire industry. And then it was gone, and everyone promptly forgot that it had ever been anything else. When the documentary finished, he flipped on the lights, walked out with his silver cane, and said, "Welcome to Typography 101. This industry will always change. How we make things will always evolve. But the skills you learn here, what good typography actually is, what good kerning and spacing and weight and understanding of type actually feels like, those things will be true as long as the written word exists." And look, I don't really remember a lot of speeches that professors gave me back in art school 20 years ago, but I will remember that one until the day I die. Because the thing is, it was true. It was true in 2006, and it's true in 2026. That curmudgeonly professor had lived through the heyday of the Madison Avenue School of Advertising and Design. He lived through New York in the 70s and 80s and 90s. He had to begrudgingly adapt to computers himself, and then he had to suffer the indignity of teaching these snot-nosed sophomores how to use the Adobe suite, when to him typography was something that was lovingly crafted by hand. We weren't even allowed to touch the computer for the first semester. We had to learn how to make everything by hand, the old school way, with tracing paper and graphite, because understanding those fundamentals had to enter your brain before you could touch the tools. The point I'm trying to make here is that tools will always change, but the principles are the same. I don't know what we're going to be using to make things in 10 years, but I do know that your taste and sensibility and unique point of view are transferable things. Even if I'm like a brain stuck onto a robot, that will still be true. Also, I'm talking about graphic design here, but this is true for any creative field. Just ask any photographer who watched the death of the darkroom and the emergence of armies of iPhone photographers. This is true for any creative thing. If you are only leaning on tools, you will be replaced someday. That's why the hardest part of any creative thing is learning your own taste. Okay, the second thing I want to address is this idea that clients suddenly only want AI slop and are not willing to pay for any sort of real design anymore. Therefore, it is irresponsible for you to suggest that you go into any creative space because suddenly we've hit this brand new problem that clients aren't willing to pay any money. This is the one that gets me hopping mad, but before we get there, we need to do another story time. I was at a party last weekend, and I ran into a really cool guy who I've met a few times before. He's a serial entrepreneur, and he's always doing interesting things, and he's been a part of several different startups. So we started chatting, and I asked him what he's working on right now, and he started gushing about this new app that he's building that he's about to launch in a couple of weeks. He pulled up his phone and started showing me the UI and talking all about all of the functionality of it, and it was really cool. And then he got super sheepish because he remembered that I was a graphic designer. He very awkwardly confessed that he built the whole thing using Claude Code on his own without using any designer at all. He was very apologetic about the whole thing, like it was somehow a personal affront to me as a human. Here's the thing. He was never going to be my client. This is a scrappy entrepreneur bootstrapping a small little project on a shoestring budget, trying to just get the minimum viable thing out there to see if his idea even has any merit. And that's exactly what he should be doing. As someone who's made multiple businesses, that's awesome. Now, do I think that his project would launch better and go farther, faster with a strategic, thoughtful brand behind it to help build everything out? Of course I do. I'm a brand designer. But the conversation I just had is the same one I would have had 5 years ago. It just would have been that he paid some guy on Fiverr $50 for a logo. This cheap client thing is not an AI problem. It has always existed, and it always will exist. And that is okay. There is a wide spectrum of design needs, and the kind of thing that I offer is not going to be for everyone, which is exactly how it should be. But that doesn't mean that there aren't people out there who are in a different place with their business or their project and are ready to invest in a thoughtful, strategic brand that's going to actually help them level up to the next goal that they have, who understand the value of working with a real human who brings actual strategy and thought and a point of view to their project. And again, that's true across all creative industries. There will always be people who are trying to eke out the very cheapest option. And there will also be people who are ready to graduate to actually have a little bit more thought and meaning behind what they're doing creatively. And that's what you have to find. But that has always been true. It's not suddenly new in 2026 just because there's an AI program. This is the same panic that happened when Canva came onto the scene, and everyone was convinced that design was dead because no one would ever pay any money again when they could noodle around themselves now. There was some truth to that. It made things easier and accessible for the people who needed to bootstrap, but it certainly didn't kill the design industry. People have spent billions of dollars since then. The point is this. People who want cheap will always find cheap, and the people ready for something real will find you if you've built something worth finding. And my third thought is this. Creative fields are not the only thing at risk here. Okay, this is when I hop on my little soapbox and go on a rant about one of the things that drives me the most crazy about this weird late-stage capitalist Western society space that we are in. Why is it that every time there is some kind of economic upheaval or technological disruption or just general stress, the conversation goes immediately to creative fields? School budget cuts? Art programs go first. The economy gets shaky? I guess I can't be a creative, time to become an accountant. And now AI shows up? Design is dead, go do something practical. Do you see the problem here? The great irony of this specific moment in time is that a lot of the professions that have always felt the most safe and practical, the ones that people talk themselves out of creative careers in order to pursue, are a lot of the ones most affected by AI right now. Paralegals, bookkeepers, insurance underwriters, actuaries, customer service reps, financial analysts, CPAs, even radiologists are kind of quaking in their boots right now. And again, I am not saying that design is not affected by all of this. It absolutely is. I'm saying that it's not uniquely affected by this. And yet we always write off the creative jobs first. Why is that? I'm now going to spare you from story time and instead do one of my other favorite things, a book recommendation. There's a book called The Blue Ocean Strategy that you've probably heard of if you've been anywhere in the creative online digital space. It's not really about this AI topic, but the principle is deeply relatable to this. His main idea is that any industry has what he calls the red ocean, which is any space where it is very crowded and there are a lot of people offering very similar things. In that crowded, shark-feeding frenzy kind of space, you can only compete on two things: cost and time. Regardless of what the thing is, whoever can offer it cheapest and fastest is going to win out because there's so many people swarming around offering similar things. A blue ocean is any space where there aren't a lot of people around, usually because what you're offering hasn't really existed. If you can find a unique combination of things that address real needs to a specific type of person, you are playing in the blue ocean. And that can look like a lot of things, but it definitely applies to any creative field. And I think that's really the secret to surviving this AI apocalypse. The more that you can get really clear on who you are, what you're offering, and who you're offering it to, the better you will be equipped to, combat the machines. And I get that that's not exactly revolutionary. A lot of people have been making that argument on YouTube for years, and they are right. But I think it's easy to forget just how simple and true that thought is. It's just as true for a brand designer as it would be for a lawyer who just put up their shingle one day and said, all right, I'm open for business. I'll help you with any of your legal needs. Versus someone who said, I want to be a copyright lawyer, and I'm going to help content creators understand copyright strikes and IP ownership. That's extremely specific and extremely useful to a very clear demographic of people. By the way, I am one of those, so, if this is you, please talk to me. Suddenly, you've gone from being like every other lawyer in the world to being the right choice to a very small group of people. And that is something uniquely human that no AI chatbot can replicate. This has always been true, but it's even more true right now. And frankly, that gives me a lot of comfort because those are skills that you can develop. You can spend time thinking about who you actually are, what your point of view is, what you have to offer, how you offer it, and how you go about finding those people. Those are good fundamental business skills, and they're completely learnable. Isn't that comforting? The bottom line is this. Unless you want to become a plumber or a farmer or an electrician or a construction worker or some other physical trade craft. And if you do, great, no shade, that is wonderful and we need more of them. But if you are going to exist in any kind of digital workspace, we are all wrestling with the same questions right now. This is not unique to creativity. We are in the Wild West, and this new landscape is something everyone is going to have to figure out how to navigate. So you might as well do something you actually like. If you were only going into design because you thought it would make you a lot of money and it felt safer than some other art form, please do a pivot. Either do the thing that really excites you or find something else for your time. It's not worth it. But please, if you are any kind of a creative person and you have made it this far into the video, take this as your permission to actually dive in and don't be scared off by some fear-mongering people on the internet. Even if you do decide that for whatever reason a creative career feels too risky or just not right for you right now, please find some way to keep creating. A piece of your soul needs it. Don't let a reactionary, scared feeling be the thing that kills that in you. And also, there are seasons. Jobs come and go, and sometimes you just need to do a thing, and that's fine. You can bartend and still be an artist if that's in you to do. But don't give it up entirely, please. The world needs creativity, especially when it is scary and uncertain, and it needs your creativity. I am begging you. All right, to wrap up this little sermon, here's what I know. I am still excited about design, and I still see a path forward. I am very much figuring out what the heck that path forward is gonna look like for me. And I believe that the people who love this thing will find it. And if you are making a business that you love, and you want to work with a real human to help bring that to life, let's chat. Ultimately, if you made it to the end of this, thank you, and I hope that it helped at least a little bit. Let's chat about it in the comments. I'm happy to keep having the conversation, but I hope that you feel at least a little bit encouraged. I'll see you in the next one.